I want to talk to you about this Jeff Martin Auctioneers, and I got to watch what I say. How I believe, as a seller, I was scammed. They scammed me. I don't know. It seemed like from everything that transpired, like this is their normal operation when they go to scam somebody, and there's lots of people at this company in on it. Now, these are just my personal observations, and I'm going to tell you what transpired with me at this Jeff Martin Auctioneers as a seller. Seen one of their auctions. I had a zero turn mower I wanted to get rid of and purchase another one. So I was looking at zero turn mowers at their auction, and I like the way they presented it. Here, I have a couple of them right here. They take images and they do, these are all the images down here, and they do a video of the auction, of the item. So there's one mower. Um, these are just some pictures of the mower. And here's a video of this mower. So as you can see, and we got one more here. They clearly do take videos and images of mowers that are going to be auctioned off. So my neighbor has a flatbed truck, rollback. He took my mower there, dropped it off for me for the next auction in my area. I noticed, so come auction day, my neighbor says to me, "Hey, you're today's auction day." And I thought it happened the day before. So I go online and look at it. I see, yeah, it's going to be sold soon. So I get doing other things and go back about an hour or two later and seeing that the mower sold. It didn't bring nearly the money I thought it would be, but I got rid of it. I'm too old, too decrepit to work on it, and it needed some work. It ran and it drove. It was operational. About 2 hours later, I guess after my items, that mower I took there sold. I took some push mowers there. I never seen the push mowers in the auction. So I took a zero turn mower, and then I took the push mower. Couple push mowers, self propelled one. Never seen them. I don't even know if they got auction. I don't know. I get a call later that day. Said, "Hey, this is Jeff Martin Auctioneers." They said, "What do you want to do with this mower? We have some people that want to buy it. Do you want to sell it?" And I'm very confused because I looked and seen that it was sold and seen the price that it sold for at auction. And I'm getting this call a couple hours later after the auction's over from somebody from Jeff Martin wanting to buy it, wanting to know if I wanted to sell the mower. I said, "Oh, I guess." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "How much do you want for it?" I said, "I don't know." They said, "How's $200 sound?" It sold for more than this at auction. I'm like, "Didn't this already sell at auction?" Then they didn't know what to say. They said, "Hold on, let me look at some things. I'll call you back." They can tell right away that it's sold. I mean, I can from at home. So they call me back another hour or two later. They call me back. "Oh yeah, you're right. It is sold. I didn't see that." All right. What I didn't know in the meantime is my neighbor that took it there seen the auction while it was happening and seen it was only bid a little bit of price and thought, "I know this mower. It runs. I'm going to buy it." So just yesterday, I finally get around to calling Jeff Martin, talking to, I guess, the manager at my location. Said he's manager there for 11 years. I said, okay. I said, I have a couple issues with the auction. One, I said, you never even took a video or nothing of my mower. He said, we don't do that. I said, what do you mean you don't do that? He said, yeah, we don't do videos of mowers. I said, what do you mean you don't? And this is at the same location these other ones were, where I'd seen these videos I just showed you. He said, I've been here for 11 years and we don't take videos of the mower. I said, well, you must not be a very good manager if you don't know what's going on there. And he wanted to try and make an ass out of me. So I hung up with him. I called back Jeff Martin Auctioneers, the main number. I said, look, I just talked to someone who was supposed to be in charge of this location and things didn't go well. I need to speak with someone. So there's the other one I didn't get into about a video. I did briefly say it, but I did get into him about saying about after the mower, after it was sold at auction, I got a phone call saying, you know, that I want to sell it. He said, yeah, we call people up and ask people that, you know, about the item, about selling the items after the auction. I said, even though it's sold, what would you have done if I would have said, yeah, go ahead and sell it for, say, $200, what they told me? What would you have done when the person that bought it at auction got there? They just totally ignored that. I asked him that like 3 times. Just totally ignored it. He said, he goes, then we just sell it at the next auction. And none of this makes sense. So they got caught in their scam. What I believe happened is an employee there wanted this mower. They knew it ran, because when unbeknownst to me, my neighbor bought it because it went too cheap. He's going to turn around and sell it privately, Facebook, Craigslist, whatever. I don't want any of that to do. I knew I could have did it and got more money. I just don't do that. But that's fine. That's fine. I have no problem with the neighbor purchasing the mower. He knew it ran, and even the neighbor that bought it, he said he couldn't believe what the auction did to me. They did no video. When he got there, it wouldn't start. He couldn't figure it out. He said, this thing, he thought the battery was dead. Tried jumping it, still wouldn't start. Finally, he realized someone had turned the blade switch on from starting it. So therefore, it won't start with the blades engaged. And then he just turned it off and started right up. And the employee said, oh, it runs. We didn't know that. What do you mean they didn't know it? I told them, they were told that when it was dropped off. One of the guys that first met my neighbor there, when he went to pick it up, said that, oh, he drove it over here and he got yelled at for not doing a video of it. So somewhere along the way went and tried to make it where it wouldn't start. So that's my issues with Jeff Martin Auctioneers. The manager there 11 years saying they don't do videos of mowers. Well, right here they are. That was a lie. What would they have done if I would have said sold it? What would they have told the person that purchased the item? If this happened to me, it happens to other people. And they have this pretty well perfected down. Everybody I talk to. I would have expected when I called back and said, look, things didn't go well with the guy in charge of the local auction. Need to talk to somebody else. I would have thought that person would have been outraged and said, let me get to the bottom of this. It said, there must have been some error or some mistake. Let me get to the bottom of it and want to research that, because I know damn well if I'm running an auction and something's sold and I have an employee calling people up, hey, you want to sell this for less money than it went for at auction? There's a problem somewhere. And I want to investigate it and research this out. I guess my phone's still holding that number that called me. Because when my neighbor went to pick up this mower, this John Deere zero-turn mower that I sold, he told the lady, he said, I don't understand. He said, after the auction was over, someone called him and asked if you wanted to sell it. The lady said, we don't do that. We never done that. Yet somebody else said, oh, they do it all the time. That's quite frequently. I said, maybe there's a misunderstanding. I said, this thing is sold. It was already sold. and you're calling people up wanting to know if they want to sell it for less money than it's sold for at auction. What's going on? I don't know, but I truly believe I was scammed by Jeff Martin Auctioneers. And if they did me, a small time seller, with a small item, imagine what they're doing to these bigger items when their buddy wants it. Hey, I'll give you $1,000 or $5,000. Let me get this cheap. Trust me, if it happens to me, it happens to others. So this is how I believe Jeff Martin Auctioneers scammed me. Stay away from them bastards.